say, no way.
Oh, gosh,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
I've never been there, so I'm looking forward to that.
So we'll have to use mics.
Yes.
Just never better.
So the camera can pick them up.
How's Otto?
Busy, we were out trying to figure out what kind
It's
of
working.
paint color we need on the outside of our house today.
Yeah.
We're a minute out?
Wow.
Quit talking.
It's time to check your
flies.
hair.
How's Lance? We haven't had appropriate socialization time yet.
Yeah.
We're having technical difficulties. We haven't finished talking yet.
Yeah. And we don't want that live.
Yeah, they come through our gate all the time.
Did you go green?
All right, I will call the May 29th, 2024 Library Board meeting to order. I guess to start, I would like to welcome our council rep, Jim Thompson. So welcome to the Library Board. It's nice to
Thank
have
you.
you on our team.
Absolutely.
If everyone has had the opportunity to take a look at the minutes from the March 27th, 2024 meeting, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the March 27th meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. All right, financial reports. Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Nothing out of the ordinary. We did have a couple of big purchases with the hotspots. The renewal was due, so we renewed the hotspots. And we purchased a battery-powered PA system for summer reading. So Sierra can take it out in the park and use it. We could also actually use it if we needed a PA system here in the library as well. Other than that, nothing.
Will that PA system be something to check out, or that's a library?
No, it would be for us.
Okay,
Yeah.
Chris, I have a question.
Yes.
Are the computer chairs, the maintenance, are those the ones upstairs or the children's room?
Upstairs and downstairs on the adult side, I don't think I replaced any of the children's.
Okay.
These are basically, we had like cheap office chairs that were just getting worn out, and some of them, the backs were breaking, and they were just a little bit gross because they're fabric and you can't clean them. And they're, I don't know how many years old. So it was just time. So we replaced them with just chairs like these,
Good.
so that they can be cleaned and they, you don't have to worry about casters and any of that stuff, so. Yeah, and they were substantially cheaper than I thought they'd be, so that was nice. Once I started looking around. Yeah, and, let's see. The, savings accounts, we had a little interest going into those. I included last quarter's community area statement just to have it in there. Let's see, there was something else I was gonna. That's about all. Oh, no, that's not quite right. The Green Thumb Gala is probably gonna bring in about 1,300, all totaled. I think that's what Donia said we're about sitting at. I put 800 in last Monday. So there's been more trickling in since then. And, yeah, so that's good. And I think that's all I have as far as anything to mention. If you guys have any other questions.
I'm just going to give everyone a minute to look through. Jim, if you have any questions, kind of being new, just give everyone a minute to review.
May I ask, is the meeting room, is that something we rent?
The community room, right now, it is available to rent. That's something that we're gonna be, probably talking about maybe over the next few meetings, whether we wanna continue that or not. Nonprofits use it for no charge.
Like the senior citizens meets there, so that would.
Right, and they're a nonprofit, so we don't charge them, yeah. Yep.
Chris, question on the book sale that says 449.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that's up, down? Is that changed from prior years? Or
I would
Just
have
off
to
the top
look
of
it
your
up and
head?
tell you. 449 is a little high for one, for one deposit. But I think overall, it's been running about normal,
okay,
I think, for the year.
Yeah, it looks like most of them are like 63, 64.
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you.
And it depends on the frequency, you know, if it, I just keep an eye on the cash drawer, and when we get usually around 300, then I make a deposit, at least in the cash drawer. What's in the book sale, yeah.
Where do you see that number?
Changes.
Cricket? Is that
Page 2.
and how, where? I
That
think
looks
it's the
like the next line
8640, yeah.
down.
I think that's the total deposit.
Right.
And then it itemizes it below. So I was like, 400, whoa.
That's when I saw that, that's why I skipped
Oops.
it. Thank you
Oh, that's on the,
Counting
Page
from the
2.
bottom
So yeah, it
up.
has a total
oh,
deposit
page
of
2 of the,
449,
yeah,
but then it's
First Interstate, yeah.
Thank you.
parsed
Oh,
out
yeah,
after.
sorry.
That's why I was like, wow, that's some.
Yeah, book sale, but $86.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a big donation.
Probably a very good investment, making a lot of book sales. Thank you for clarifying that. Any questions after reviewing? Anything further? All right. After reviewing the financial reports, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the financial reports.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the financial report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Director's report.
Okay. The stats are typical, no big changes that way. Thanks to Kathy for giving us a little bit for the summer reading program. We also got some money from Judy Lewis for the summer reading program, which is nice. In June, Elizabeth White is going to be displaying some art. In fact, I think she's setting up tomorrow. So we'll have new stuff up then. Meetings, pretty standard, nothing out of the ordinary. Same thing with programming, was pretty standard. The summer reading stuff I included, Sierra's got all that ready to go, and so that's gonna be kicking off here next week. We had a kickoff party last week, and she gave out about 100 of the packets with all the information and stuff. So about 100 kids came through on, I think that was Tuesday or Wednesday. So that's nice, and that's all set up and ready to go. Sarah and I went to a STEM workshop in Rapid last week. It's a program run by Northern Arizona University, funded by NASA. Right now, what we were looking at was a program called Planets that is for middle school and younger kids, and there are these programs. There's one on they have to design a glove for outer space. Another one is how to find water, like how much water is there on moons and planets, and how would you go about finding that and actually getting access to it. And the other one is about, I forget what the other one was about, hazards, I think, and mitigating hazards in space. And they're all built to be out of school time. OST programs are out of school time programs. And so these are geared toward Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCAs, libraries, any place that has kids that they do out of school programs. The ones they've created are actually pretty substantial. I'm not sure we would, they have a science component and an engineering component. The idea is that you learn the science and then you apply the science through the engineering, although you don't have to. So we may adjust the programs. I think we're going to try to do one in the fall and see how it goes, and then see if that's something that we want to do more of. And the meeting in Rapid was with some of the people from Northern Arizona University that are implementing this, and it was sort of like beta testing. You know, they wanted our thoughts on how we thought it would go and what materials they had and whether we thought they were good or needed improvement or that kind of stuff. So it was kind of interesting, and it was good to go to, and I'm kind of excited to see how that goes. The courier, I think, is taken care of. It's working well. Yeah, rolling tomes. It's been 3 weeks now, 4 weeks maybe already, and they're coming twice a week. And they're not, the old courier just did Rapid, Sturgis, Lead, and Spearfish. The new courier adds Piedmont, adds Deadwood, adds Whitewood, and Custer, actually. They're going to Custer maybe once a week. I don't know if they go to Custer twice a week, but so things are working well. The new courier system on the rest of the state drops stuff off in Rapid City, and then they pick it up from there if it's coming from across the state. If it's local, it's just works the way the courier did before, but on time, and we're not waiting 3 weeks to find something. So that's great. So far, so good there. A couple of you were at the mini conference that Rapid City had about a month ago now, and Sierra and Lee presented at some sessions, which was great. So yeah, we had some good presence there, and I think there was some good sessions that we went to. So yeah. Aside from that, that's about all that I've got for the board report.
Let's move over into new business.
Oh, well, I guess one more thing, just a reminder, we are closed June 19th for Juneteenth, which is a state holiday now, just for information purposes. So yeah, I guess that is it under that stuff.
Thank you. New business.
right. So the state legislature passed HB 1197 this year, which changes a little bit how, or changes a little bit what public libraries and school libraries, but for our purposes, it's just public libraries that I'll talk about, how we deal with obscene materials and minors and restricting minors. If you look at the stuff that I printed out for you, starts on page 17. The original statute, which was 22-2456, public libraries need to restrict access on the computer, and this is from 2001. So you need to have a policy that restricts minors from computer access to obscene materials, which we have. We have filters on our computer that do that, all of our computers that do that. They changed it this year so that it just makes it a little more detailed. Basically, the addition is that we need to restrict minors from accessing obscene matter or materials in the library in addition to online. So that would be books, that would be magazines, anything we have in the library. We have to publish the policy on our website or in a local newspaper once a year. Then I have some more information in here that's just a little more background on the policies that relate to this. The biggest one would be on page 18, or well, actually page 19. Well, I guess both. Dealing with what is obscenity, and basically what it boils down to is we don't have anything in the library that is obscene. So that's not an issue that we have to worry about. All we have to do now is make sure that we have a policy somewhere that states that we have a procedure in place to keep that from happening in case we ever did, I guess, decide to get something obscene. So a big part of this bill is that there's local control. It's not the state saying this is how you're going to do it. Every library gets to make their own decision on how they're going to implement it. Local control, the guy that wrote the bill was very adamant about that. He wanted to make sure that it was in the bill, that there was local control, that it wasn't being taken away. We have until, actually there's a typo here, it should be January 1st, 2025 is when this has to go into effect. And George Seaman, who's the South Dakota State Librarian, also suggested involving a city attorney just to make sure that the policy that we write passes muster. So once we come up with something, we'll run it by Mr. Marshall to have him look at it. So how we can deal with this, there are a couple of ways that we can do it. We can update the collection policy, which talks about the materials we get and how we get them and why we get them. We can update the circulation policy to say that no minors are allowed to check out obscene materials. One of the concerns was allowing minors to check out adult materials, which is a whole nother thing that this doesn't really cover. Some of the discussion was about, well, do we have to put our adult fiction behind bars, or, kids can't even walk in there? Because the idea was, okay, kids can't check out a Stephen King book, but they could walk into the stacks and pull it off the shelf and look at it. And the idea is, well, that's not considered obscene. So it may be graphic, it may be not something they should necessarily be reading, but it's not obscene, therefore it doesn't fall under this statute. So we could, if we wanted to, and we may do this anyway, just for our own protection, would be to have parents, if you're under 18, you have to have a parent sign for you to get a card. So we could put a box that says, you know, I don't want my kid checking out any adult materials. I kind of have an issue with that. I think that's, you know, that's, if the parent doesn't want them to check stuff out, that's fine, but that's the parent's responsibility. That's not our responsibility. So I'm not sure that's something we need to do. But that's something that if you guys felt like it was something we should do, we could have the parent restrict card access. We would put a little flag on the children's card. But we have a lot of families that come in and, you know, the kids use mom's card to check stuff out. So I'm not sure enforcing that would be all that easy to do.
Solution without a problem, like.
Essentially. So, and we have our policies on the city website as well. So I think if we update the circulation policy and update the collection policy to include some language that says we don't have obscene materials, and we have filtering systems on the computers so that children can't access stuff, then we'll be in compliance.
This sounds like a real subjective determination, or is there a list?
Well,
that-
no, if you look at page 18, under 22, 24, 27, harmful to minors, predominantly appeals to the prurient, shameful, or morbid interest of minors, is patently offensive to prevailing standards in the adult community as a whole with respect to what is suitable for material for minors, and is without serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. So it has to meet all three of those criteria to be considered harmful to minors. And I would argue that we don't have anything in the library anywhere that fulfills all three of those.
Were you using Stephen King as an example, or is that something somebody objects to?
No, well, just as an example. When we were having the meeting with the state librarian, he brought that up as an example of adult material,
That, yeah,
you know.
that's not obscene, but
No, not obscene, but it's graphic and it's violent yeah, and so it just came up as something. I mean, you could say, there's a lot of stuff in the adult section that you might not want a 5-year-old reading. Now, I would argue that a 5-year-old isn't going to comprehend what's in there anyway, but a 13-year-old might. But that's most librarians feel that that's the parent's role on what their child should be and shouldn't be reading. And that's a decision that they make for their child. So, yeah. But Stephen King just came up as something that's got graphic violence in it.
But that doesn't fit into this.
no.
No, it wouldn't.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. We
make that decision locally.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's, that would be, well, like I said, for it to be harmful for minors, it has to meet all three of those criteria.
Which also means has no literary value. And I
Right,
think
artistic
when we
value,
are-
political, or scientific
Stephen
value.
King has literary value.
Yeah, so it's, it's a pretty high standard. Now, if we subscribed to Playboy, for example, that would be, you could make an argument that we want to restrict that to adults. But we don't.
We don't.
So yeah. So again, we don't have anything in the library that fulfills all of those criteria.
You could find people who believe that we do.
They may,
But that's a
they may.
different- That's a different argument.
That's a whole different thing, and we have a challenge process in place that if
Yes.
if somebody wants to challenge a title, they have the right to do that. And there's a form that they fill out, and there's a whole process to deal with that. Yeah, that's in place already. So, yeah.
So just looking forward, Chris, you're going to update the collection and the circulation policies?
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up and kind of see what you guys thought. If we keep going, I've got what we have right now for any child under 17. Sorry, I said 18 before, sorry, under 17. A parent has to sign, and it's at the top of page 20. I agree to be responsible for all materials borrowed, for all fines and fees incurred in loss and damage of material. I accept responsibility for the selection of materials made by this person. So the parent has to sign that. By signing that, the parent says, I'm okay with them checking stuff out. So it's already there. We may tweak the language a little bit, just to include that, you know, the library doesn't allow minors to check out obscene material, but we would have to word that so that it's maybe just make it clearer that as the parent, it's your responsibility for the materials that your child checks out. So changing the wording a little bit is probably what we would do as far as that goes. I put in the library card holder policy, at least the section of it that would apply to this. Borrowers between the ages of 5 and 17 will be issued a child card, and that you have to have an adult guarantor. And we would probably add some language to that says that the library doesn't allow minors to check out material.
Even quote to what they say.
Well, yeah, and that's essentially what's going to happen is that it would be, you know, we whatever the new language says, that we
Harmful to minors.
that we restrict, that minors are restricted from accessing obscene matter or materials. And then say, see the collection policy, and that's where we could put in, which is the next section down. We've got the purpose of the policy, responsibility for materials selection is probably where we would put something that says, or else under criteria. I'm not sure where we'll do it yet. I just wanted to see if you guys had thoughts about this before we get this going. Like I said, we've got till the end of the year to take care of it, so it's not pressing, but I want to at least get started on it so we can put together a policy that covers our obligation.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, just to have that timeline to kind of back it up so we have time to just review, so
Yeah.
appreciate that. So is there any recommendations, suggestions from anyone on the board of the material that Dr. Hahn has shared so far?
There's also, I included part of the computer internet usage policy, access by minors, which is on page 24. Sturgis Public Library is aware of the need to protect children from inappropriate or graphic content on the internet and has controls in place to meet SIPA requirements, which is federal guidelines that you have to follow if you want to be eligible for any kind of federal funding through grants or anything. And we'll probably add language to that says the library does not allow, uses filtering software to make sure minors don't have access to obscene material. One of the issues that you run into with computer filters is if people are doing legitimate research, sometimes depending on how you have the filter set up, if somebody's doing research on breast cancer, if your filter isn't set up correctly, they won't be able to do any research on that because they're using the word breast. So it's we don't have software like that you actually would have to go in and turn the software off for someone that needed to do research like that. We have a lower level of security. And basically what our site does, or what our service does, is block specific sites mainly. And that's always being updated. So that's what we do as far as protecting. And that's on all our computers, not just in the kids area. Just because it's at the firewall that we have rather than software on each computer. Because that, you would have to subscribe to services because they charge you per computer per month. Yeah, I think that runs anywhere from probably $5 to $20 a month per computer, depending on what service you get and how, what you need from the service, what they offer.
I know this is a state thing, but has there been much issue with parents and the material that children check out? Okay.
No,
Or with computers and?
no. No, because the public libraries in the state already comply with the existing law, which was back from 2001. So the filtering software is there. They're just wanting more specific language in policies to address that. Yeah. And it's not just computers anymore, it's now books as well. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
So it's just for protection.
It's just more.
exactly.
Right.
yes.
Protection.
And I think what you've reviewed so far, I mean, not only is it gonna be updated in those two policies, but then also mentioned in the card holder policy, and
Yeah.
it's pretty transparent to people, it's pretty clear.
Yeah,
that-
it'll, and my thought is if you put it in more than one spot, then,
Absolutely.
you know, we've taken care of what we need to and reinforced the fact that this is not something that people have to worry about. Which I think is the main point of the legislation. Yeah.
Do you have a goal of when you wanna try to get those done so that we can look at them
Oh,
again in the fall?
probably over
or-
the summer.
Okay,
I'll work on it, so we should have it by September or October, I would
Perfect.
think.
okay.
October at the latest, so that we can do a second review in November
good.
if we need.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, so if you guys have any questions about that, you know, let me know. It's, yeah, it's, I don't think it's anything to be really concerned about, because it's stuff that we do already.
Right.
We just have to tell people that we're doing it, so.
And the state library didn't have recommendations that they're gonna create something at their level and
No.
just let you locally
And the
have-
reason, and that's the reason, is because it's all about local control. So they may, they have offered to look at any policies that people create, but they decided against creating a sort of a blanket policy for people who do adopt,
That makes sense.
in the spirit of the legislation, I think is basically what he said. So, yeah,
Chris, thank you for putting this comprehensive overview together.
You're welcome.
Very well done, thank you.
you're welcome. All right. So that's 6-1. If you want to move on.
Yes,
Okay.
please,
All
flooring
right.
replacement.
The next one is mainly because we have a new, I wanted to bring Jim up to date on something that we're trying to do. The staff area in the library, the vinyl flooring has been has been repaired multiple times. And it's got another big tear in it, and it's starting to come up, and it needs to be replaced. And so I got an estimate for replacing just the vinyl, and then also an estimate for taking the tile out of the bathroom and replacing it with vinyl as well. That to you, with the idea that maybe you could talk to other council members and see if this is anything that's a possibility for the city to take care of, or at least to pay part of.
So this is our, it starts with us, nobody demanded it from the city.
No,
This is the library's,
this is the library saying our flooring is falling apart, we need new flooring. Nobody's tripped and broken anything yet, which is good. But this was the bid I got at the end of February. And when I talked to him, I said, well, you know, this isn't gonna happen anytime soon, just because of, you know, the process it's gonna go through to figure out how this is paid for. And he said, yeah, he said, no worry, he didn't anticipate the prices going up much, at least through the year. But, you know, the sooner it gets done, the cheaper it's gonna be. So, yeah.
Chris, I apologize if I didn't see it in here. Is that in one of the prior minutes?
You know, this, I actually, no, I didn't include this in the packet. I just made a copy of it for Jim. We had talked about it, a couple months ago. And so
Did you email
it's in the,
Did you email that to us?
I may have emailed it to you. It's
remember.
included in the board report from,
Prior,
March.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
included in there, the numbers anyway, the 11,928 and the 3980 for the bathroom. Yeah,
I know we discussed it, so, yeah.
yeah. We were just, since Becca was not going to be around, we waited until we got a new person to.
So I understand, you're
Explore.
giving me this to present on our behalf to the city council.
Yes, or at least start a discussion about,
Okay.
you know, whether this is something that's viable or not.
I've had 2 meetings so far, so I'm still
Right.
learning how all this works, but
Yeah. Yeah, and so before putting in a formal request, I guess I just thought maybe some discussion to see if this is something that, you know, we should take up now, or we should wait. I don't wanna wait too long, but I guess if I wait long enough, I can just peel the floor up myself, and we can be on concrete, but, it probably wouldn't be that easy.
And we certainly don't want anyone to trip or to,
Yes.
Well, yeah.
that would not be good.
Yeah. So, yeah, so that's basically just as a,
Bless you.
informational thing for you, to let you know what's going on. And if you want afterwards, I can go show you what we're talking about, so you have a better idea. Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing under new business is the remaining dates for library board meetings. And I brought that up just because I was looking at the calendar and realized that, June through October is great, meeting on the last Wednesday of the month. In November, that's the day before Thanksgiving. I'm assuming you guys probably interested in meeting the day before Thanksgiving. And we typically don't meet in December, so it would be the last meeting of the year. So if we wanted it to go, we could either go a week earlier or a week later. A week earlier would be the 20th of November. A week later would be December 4th. So whichever, I guess whichever you guys would prefer is fine.
Let me look.
And you don't have to decide right now, but I at least wanted to make sure that you were aware of that, so.
So
I would,
it'd be
this would be a
3
good plan
weeks
for
if
that.
we went the 20th of November,
It would be it would be the penultimate Wednesday,
or the 4th of December.
right. So,
Any input?
I'm fine with whatever.
well, my thought is that we have more Christmas things after December 1st, so it's possible that the 4th of December could conflict with Christmas programs or something, as opposed to an early date in November, just as a thought, but
yeah, December gets busy, that's for sure.
Either works for me.
Either
that
works for me, yeah, whatever.
Me too.
You just tell us.
You make the decision
But then
for
we
us.
go 2
You make the
months,
decisions.
2 full months.
Well, you're looking at 6 weeks rather than 4 weeks. Or I guess you're adding another 2 weeks. I guess, so it would be,
Be 9 weeks.
yeah, versus 7. So,
I think it's your call, Chris.
I guess I would probably rather go earlier, rather go in November.
Great.
So if somebody wants to make a motion,
I will move to change the meeting date to the date set by Chris.
November 20th.
November 20th.
November 20th.
I will second that.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to move the library board meeting for November to the 20th, a week earlier. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will meet November 20th, Chris.
Okay, so that's taken care of. Good. All right, so then the next thing would be executive session.
All right, I will entertain a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? All right, we are back. All right. All right, welcome back. I don't see anybody that is wanting to come before the board, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All right, thank you, and we'll,
Hey, so Jim's on the minutes.
yes, everybody enjoy,
Who moved and
enjoy your
seconded to go